Okay, so we're at Norma Creed's house. Sorry for that pause. That was me alt-tabbing. And we're going to do our first investigation mission.
And these things range from brilliant to really, really dumb. But even when they're dumb, they're often pretty fun. You don't get that kind of like, you actually do research and investigation. You do not get that in MMOs.
Yeah, the one mission type I don't like is sabotage, because it's usually stealth, and stealth in this is fucking horrible.
Yeah, it's they did improve. They sometimes the mechanics are okay. Sometimes the mechanics are good. This isn't
Like, I
always the case.
appreciate them trying. See, that's the thing I appreciate most about this, is they tried something different, they tried something new. Sometimes it fails, but most of the time I think it succeeds.
Yeah, mostly at worst it functions. This isn't a Bethesda game. You're not going to encounter game breaking bugs all the time.
Absolutely not.
Actually, I don't think I can't recall ever seeing a bug, or at least one that was like visible and clearly bugged out.
Okay, so we have to find out more about the murders. So, where would you go if you wanted to find out more about a series of murders in a town?
I'd go to the library or the police office. Well, depend. Actually, it was 2002, right?
Yes.
And then probably just straight to the police office.
We go to the I is it the town has it's either the town hall, and we look at their archives.
Hmm. Actually, yeah, that's probably the best idea. Well, I mean, I'd say if they let you access it, because a lot of village governments are not interested in some stranger go through their archives. But considering,
Yeah, I was about to say, considering current situation, I don't think anyone's going to object.
yeah, I think they're probably cool with that,
Or dead.
or both.
And now she said autumn of 2002, so quarter 3 2002. And we have a name. And that means we need to go to the sheriff's office and look through their records, because now we have the name.
I still can't get over her just letting us get access to her systems, and I know it doesn't matter very much. I know it's not like there's that much that's worth hiding there anymore. It's just a police officer letting a civilian get access to their records really.
And this is me just not remembering the names, so just going through all of it. There we go. So he said, you'll have to talk to my corpse. You have to ask my ghost. So what we need to do is die, which you can do at any time.
Some of these mechanics they never explain to you. So I'm not sure.
Yes, it's never explained. You literally have to look it up. The White Ravens whisper golden girls, sorrowful secrets never told. It's complete nonsense. But it mentions white ravens. So let's go out here and... Oh, what do you know on that police car? It's a white raven. And there's another white raven, and we just follow this trail of white ravens. To find these. And if you walk over them, they will say something.
There you go.
And we need to make the little phrase that appeared in the jail cell Sorry, you kind of have to sit through me do this. It takes a bit.
Eh. Your anima has weakened from exhaustion.
Yeah, that's a new mechanic. It just means that the more you die, the weaker your character gets. And now we see Jack the Lad, also known as Jack O'Lantern. And he's fucking horrifying.
He's an evil pumpkin wizard who controls will-o'-the-wisps. And off he goes.
And you'll note that if you pause and read that little thing, it will mention that they know of Jack the Lad.
Yeah, they know who he is, when he was born, when he came to America.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of. I did read up on him a little bit before we started, and it was kind of frustrating reading this because it talks a lot. The lore talks about how he came over to escape famine in Ireland in 1907, which is about 60 years after the big famine. I mean, maybe there was a smaller
Yeah.
one there, but it is just, a little awkward. It just made
Yeah.
it
Yeah, the
makes
big 1907 famine in Ireland. We all remember
yeah,
that.
that's a famous one, right? So yeah, this guy has been around for about 100 years at this point. I I don't remember much about the inventory system, but I do remember going through my inventory, manually clicking every gift bag to open it up.
Yeah, you still have to do that.
Quality of life improvements are relative.
And now we get to meet my favorite character. Oh, well, one of them.
Yes, this guy.
The Illuminati Preacher.
Did we ever do we get his name? I don't remember it.
Henry
Henry.
Hawthorne, right there.
Oh hey. Um, he his dialogue has to be heard to be
Blessed
believed
are
at
the
some
meek,
points.
but doubly blessed are those who do the Lord's work boldly. It is through his grace that we find sanctuary in his house, when his house is besieged by zombies. Not to belittle the Lord's work, but perhaps the illuminated ones made this place a safe place through some conjuration of theirs. Blessed by the Lord, of course, or at the very least tolerated. Whatever the providence of our sanctuary, it extends no further than the doorstep. Even the cemetery spills over with the devil's spawn. I've tried prayer, I've tried my 44, but Satan's wearing Kevlar, and Bible thumping just pisses them off.
Poor kid.
Yeah, this whole video is basically doing all four of his quests.
He's named after the author Nathaniel Hawthorne. He's mostly forgotten today, though he still has a reputation because he wrote. There's no polite way to put it. He wrote horror and fantasy in the 1800s, and there are a lot of people who hear that go, but that's genre fiction. That's not classic literature, and don't talk about it. And more recent people who are actually into that don't know his name because they've never had a chance to hear of him. He's still like taught, he's still read, but he's not in. People don't talk about him as like a master, and his stuff is really good. But well, I got a undergraduate degree in writing, even with a master's in history, and I ran into a lot of professors who thought they knew quite a bit about they knew quite a bit about the format and structure of writing, and they had a very, very specific idea of what good writing was thematically that I hated and disagreed with. vociferously.
And our little side mission is put down all the World War II veterans who've come back to life.
It's funny. I don't know if you've. A lot of towns have those areas of those graveyards, and it depends. Sometimes they're huge, sometimes they're tiny. My hometown has a sizable with a few dozen people, but it wasn't at that point. It wasn't big enough that a few dozen people over the course of a couple years is like that was way more people than died than normal. But I remember watching a video that like compared death rates from World War II, combat in World War II. America had under 1 million, and the Soviet.
Yes, I believe I've seen the same video. It had a bunch of graphics in it.
Yep, the Soviet Union was first with like 27 million, and China was second at about 9. And we forget China was like, okay, this has nothing to do with what's going on. Actually, no, there's World War II veterans. So, okay, do you know why the United Nations is called the United Nations?
Because it also included China.
Sort of. Do you know what the Allies' history is shorthand for the Allied powers of World War II? Do you know what their formal name was? What they actually called their alliance?
No.
The United Nations. That's what when Eisenhower addressed the troops on D-Day, he called them the United Nations, for soldiers of the United Nations. That was the name of the organization that coordinated the entirety of the war effort after like 1942-ish. And when the war ended, they took most of the bureaucracy that actually ran like logistics and kept diplomacy running. They dismantled most of it. They took the rest and put it into what we call the United Nations and just switched it over. And the UN Security Council, the 5 people on it, are the 5 major leading lights of the Allies of World War II: Great Britain, United States, USSR, France. Technically, it was kind of a swing vote that they put in so they wouldn't have an even number, and China. So that it was absolutely one of the most important powers in World War II. We just kind of forget about it for a bunch of reasons these days.
Well, there's also the fact that it was mostly there because the Americans insisted. I mean,
France?
the whole Chinese front is just hellish.
Yeah. It's
And
America was able to island hop because the Chinese kept the bulk of the Japanese army pinned down in China. And by the end, also the Russian army was really hitting Manchuria and holding them down as well.
Kingsmouth is not a town without its blood.
But yeah.
And now changing the topic, we learn more about the horrible past of Kingsmouth.
On the boughs of Kingsmouth tree, planted in unsanctified soil. By apples, I mean bodies. The tree represents graves, and the unsanctified soil means, well, unsanctified soil, unmarked graves, mass graves. They operated with rationale, our illuminated ancestors. I'm sure of it. I mean, who am I to question these men of action? Those men of God. Even if they did stumble in their faith, well, that can happen to all of us. We forget to say grace. We lie. We cheat. We fornicate. We do worse. We have more immediate concerns than being ministers of past sins. What they're digging up is something that should remain buried, hidden from inquisitive eyes and wagging tongues. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust.
No, it's funny that it's interesting just how this is only vaguely related to this. But I mean, with Nathaniel Hawthorne, the thing that got me started on that rant, he wrote a lot of. He was from New England, and he wrote a lot about witches. A lot about witches. Like, he's how we most American conception of witches evolved from the stuff he wrote, and he kind of inadvertently formalized it, though there were a bunch of other authors contributing too. So this is the whole idea of like dark magic and hidden secrets. This stuff in New England is very, very old. It predates the Republic by, actually, it probably goes back to the Puritans just landing.
Speaking of Puritan witches, you ever seen The Witch?
The what?
The Witch.
The wit?
The Witch.
Like, just the. I don't even know.
That's the
like.
That's the title of the movie, The Witch.
No. I have never.
It is a Puritan period piece about witchcraft. And it uses period dialogue, period sets, period beliefs in witchcraft. It is a phenomenal movie.
Would you call?
I
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I would highly recommend it.
Would you qualify it as horror or drama?
Horror. It's a slow burn, but it's good.
And that's kind of ironic because that's how you. That I probably am not going to watch it then. There are some I do like creepy things, stuff that is the sort of thing that you get in a lot of in this secret world. I don't actually like horror. Okay.
Oh, it's not well, it depends. It's not a gory horror movie.
Like it for me, I'm the sort of person who can't. I eventually will give up on a show that's too tense because I just get tired of it.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's a very tense movie. You probably wouldn't like it then.
I understand the appeal for there. I just kind of get. I get it. It runs my energy down so low that I just get kind of anti-bored. I guess I just want to move on.
Yeah, it's a tense movie. You wouldn't like it then, which is a shame because it's a great movie.
Yeah, there are a lot of good movies. There are a lot of movies that I don't like that are really good. So yeah, happens to the best of us. Blue Ridge Forgotten.
So these are called Blue Ridge Forgotten. Blue Ridge is another area in this this New England chapter that we'll see. And it's where we meet the Wabanaki tribes.
And you may have noticed the pickaxe and the hard hat there. Those are gonna come right back up once we reach that.
Yeah, it's the Blue Ridge is a mining area, and there's some history between the Wabanaki and the miners that we kind of go into.
Mm-hmm.
It's typical of your Native American history, interacting with white people. I'm afraid.
Yeah. I'll be able to start dissecting some of the issues in that. It was kind of inevitable. There's stuff in here. It's questionable because there's stuff in everywhere. This isn't exactly new. A new game.
Right.
I remember years ago, years after Cataclysm was released for WoW, I got there was a free trial period they let you in. I don't remember the details. I managed to get to a point where I was interacting with trolls, and there was a whole quest line that was absolutely how do I put this? Dr. Phil with trolls, complete to the no, more like Jerry Springer with trolls. It was, and they were so. It was really taking on a lot of some. What's the term? Problematic content when it comes to casting trolls as black people. It was severely uncomfortable.
Oh, okay. I was laughing at the thought of Dr. Phil with trolls, but then I remembered that trolls are speak Jamaican accents and shit, and
it was wasn't a great quest line. I remember playing it and thinking, if this had escaped to the right this information escaped to the right corner of the internet, there would be a shitstorm. But it's also buried in hours and hours of World of Warcraft, so it never will.
That was a nice uppercut with my sledgehammer. I, you know, you can fight with a sword in this game, but your hammer weapon is literally just like a 10-pound sledgehammer. Like, you couldn't go more medieval with a warhammer. You just gave me something from Home Depot.
Honestly, it's probably if you. It's. I don't think is that like. Do you think it's even a magical weapon, or it's just something your
I think
character
it's
bought?
just something from Home Depot.
Well,
I mean,
I'm.
it's not explicitly magical unless you get like one of the weapons you can get in the dungeons, which are all like mystical.
I mean, basically, the shotgun you are hauling around is a toy shotgun, and it hurts because it uses soul magic. So I imagine that's kind of what's going
Oh,
on with that hammer.
I assumed it was a real shotgun, but I just don't load real ammunition in it. I load it with magic.
I think like
I load it with the concept of bullets.
well, that's yeah, pretty much. But then I I swear this specific dialogue I got out of the Templar, the arms master, the trainer, all the way back in London, and where he basically said, "You aren't." Oh hey, look, it's a local cult. Um.
It's not a local cult,
Oh
it's
well,
an
yeah,
international cult. Yeah, the Morning Light are
they're big.
occult Scientology, basically.
They, God, Seinfeld. But so yeah, but yeah, I swear that I swear I remember him saying something about how the guns you're given can't actually fire, that you can't actually load them. But I could be just misremembering or finding the local cult camp.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to load up Secret World Classic to figure that
Yeah,
out because
no,
I hated Secret World Classic.
yeah, I'm
That combat system was bad.
yeah I still have access to it on my I don't know. Do you think the servers are even still up? They might be.
Classic servers are still up, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe so, at least. I mean, there's still the option to download Classic, so I assume there's at least one server still up.
yeah. That's certainly possible. But yeah, I would not care enough to search. This is yeah. You we're shooting mind bullets instead of real bullets, and we can just leave it at that pretty much.
You know, I've been bored recently because I'm, unemployed, and I've been writing a bunch of, shitty fan fiction, and I'm working on a novelization of this just because I'm bored,
Well, there's
and I'm
all.
doing the LP, so
I mean, look, the LP I finished, the LP of Pokemon Shield, is literally a piece of fan fiction with. It is a character that's kind of came out eerily similar to me, being working themselves into the cast. Like it was you know it was a thing. Oh, by the way, go read my Shield LP. Everyone listening, if you are at all interested in Pokemon Shield or LPs,
link it in the thread because I haven't read it because there've been so many Pokemon
yeah,
LPs,
yeah.
so I haven't read it. Link it in the thread.
Nobody likes Shield, so I got. Well, okay, that's not true. Lots of people actually like Shield, including me. But there's not as much. I had some more of a free hand to do stuff with it.
Oh, here's my favorite
Oh
scene. I
yes,
think this is it.
Kingsmouth is a book of secrets, an illuminated manuscript waiting for those who would read between the lines. I've seen it spelled out, the hidden truth of this blighted god.
And there's the Illuminati symbol in all the windows.
Seekers of knowledge, you and I. Even a man of God can have his eyes open to further enlightenment and illumination. To be illuminated under the eye. The pyramid. The Illuminati. I'm with the Illuminati.
we
I don't
know.
have a badge or anything like that. I'm what you might call a hobbyist member. show up on Google, and I'm an avid poster, a valued poster.
Never
I walk
stop
the paths
posting.
Yeah,
not on any map. The work of the Illuminati is
glad his posting
a
is
secret
that
gospel,
good.
chapter and verse throughout the town.
I'm like a
Secrets
top
unknown.
tier poster. Like,
That's why your faith
Yeah,
begin to
his
keep.
get fiscal level of posting.
My
his
work is
posting game's
growing,
so good he joined a secret
exhausted.
conspiracy, or he
There are
thinks he did.
elements of our
He is the
that
trophy.
I have overlooked. Time
Who
and
is that
continuity
crazy
still exist
guy
unexplained.
who kept up Kfabi for so long?
Perhaps the
Toblerone
universe
Triangular or something? Who pretended to be a libertarian so long? Oh my god. The sagas of the SA Forum are many and interesting.
It's yeah, something awful's ancient, and there's so many. There are things that make no sense unless you know the story. Like, have you ever seen that little? You know what small pastry is?
Yes. Someone thought shrimp was pastry. I
Yeah,
remember that. That was a funny ass thing.
yeah, I remember reading that thread. This guy was already defensive. Somebody posted shrimp fried rice, and he didn't recognize it, despite claiming to be British and to regularly eat at Chinese places. And he still has
The
a
shrimp
shrimp
avatar.
avatar. It's the sort of thing that even if he buys a new one, someone's going to just buy it again for him.
I still have an avatar from an LP of like Buzz Aldrin's Race into Space or something. Some sort of space race game that never got completed.
Yeah, mine,
Because I was like RPing a character in the British space program who was like an 80-year-old imperialist guy, and I got sent into the space with the Australian space program. Just dumb as hell shit happens all over our forums.
yeah, I got mine after. Do you know what Exalted is?
Yes.
Do you know what?
The RPG,
Yes.
right?
Do you know what alchemicals are?
Uh, I know what an alchemy is.
No. It's. I did. Fatal and Friends is a thread on in the
Oh
traditional
yeah, I
games.
know that thread.
Yep. I reviewed alchemicals is a they're a one of the more obscure kinds of Exalted. I did a full review of their source book and the accompanying setting book. And to celebrate me finishing it, I bought myself my avatar after the best splat in those books and also in Exalted.
So we found a. So the manholes led us to a plaque commemorating something. So let's go to the town hall and see what we can see. And it's the okay. I'm being hit by bad guys. So okay, he just sort of left. So
Okay.
and now I kind of derp out about what I was supposed to do. Oh yeah, cause the thing. This is me literally looking up using the in browser. But the thing it said is time. It mentioned time and kings.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is there's a clock and it is at 10:10. So what you need to do is Kings 10:10 in the Bible, 120 talents of gold, that's the only number. So now we need to go to this little historical site. Whereupon we find a keypad and input 120.
And we go into the basement, which is going to turn out well
Hmm.
for us.
Actually, it does in this case. So we just go here,
Hack Illuminati computer.
type in hint, light conquers all, and that is the motto on the Kingsmouth uh, manhole covers, but I've forgotten it, so let me just Google it again. I am so sorry that this happens, but this is literally how you're supposed to do it.
Look,
Well, not literally. I mean, you're supposed to do research, but I'm just looking up the answer.
well, to be
Which is
honest,
realistically, that's what most people would do.
yeah, that is part of the secret world experience, just giving up and using the walkthrough. Because it is a game design problem in this game to some extent. Because if you, to some extent, every like puzzle you give a player, people should be able to solve. They should be able to solve with fitting genre expectations. It should not require leaps of logic that they don't expect to be able to make. Which is kind of the whole point of these secret world like investigation missions. So it always does. It's highly original. It's often compelling, but it's always kind of like it doesn't always feel right and feels frustrating. It's just something that most games just won't do for that reason.
Yes, sometimes you don't have any idea what they mean.
Mhm.
Like the Kings thing. Like it mentions time and the Bible. It mentioned time and Kings, and you look at the clock and it says 10:10, and you're thinking, okay, previously they've mentioned God, so maybe it's the Bible. Kings is a book in the Bible. But let's go back to our poster friend.
There's a glint to your eyes that I recognize from the bathroom mirror. You've walked Kingsmouth's secret trails, yes? What was it like? Was it illuminating? Were you enlightened? If it weren't for circumstance and my duty to the Lord, I would join you, document your expedition. Although, those are not the only paths.
He's the secret world equivalent of the adoring fan.
More hidden. Tap your foot on any page going down Main Street.
I'm just trying to imagine what the Secret World forums are, and I'm imagining trolling is a lot worse.
That I don't even want. I don't even want to think about the Illuminati forums because that's a sort of thing that would have spells that would that people would post to kill their personal enemies on that site. That would be just a nightmare.
Occult trolling, absolutely.
I've said this before, and I will always say I love how they just seamlessly and without any kind of emphasis on it mix technology and magic in this game. There's no conflict there. They just use them both whenever they work.
Oh yeah, we'll see a lot more of that if we get to Tokyo in this LP. I'm still working on Tokyo with my level 50 character, and it's a slog because some of those bosses are hard. Okay.
Yeah, I think I don't remember what the circumstances were. I remember that I wasn't able to access Tokyo when I was playing the original one. Because I knew perfectly well there was storyline there, but between Kingsmouth, Egypt, and Transylvania, that storyline felt self-contained. There were like a bunch of sequel hooks, but it had a clear plot structure that stood on its own. And I remember Tokyo being like locked off and separate, so much so that when I finished Transylvania, I just sort of stopped playing because I felt like I'd beat the campaign.
Yeah, it's a shame this wasn't a single-player game because I would love a sequel.
Yeah.
But the problem we had there was I had to read the thing before I could get the key. And it says Clavis Aurea, and I think that means... I don't know what that means, actually. I don't speak Latin. But we want the key to the city, because it's a giant lock.
That sounds like the sort of thing a city government that's trying to be all occult and mystical would do. It's like
it's very Da Vinci Code.
It's very. I remember.
Actually, no, it's not even Da Vinci Code. It's what was the Nicolas Cage movie?
National Treasure.
Yes, it's very National Treasure.
It's To me, it feels like I remember reading some high school. It was like a middle school principal who decided that the best way to defend his students in the case of a school shooting was to put boxes of rocks next to every classroom so people could throw them at anyone. And it feels like that kind of thinking went into locking an important place with a giant obvious lock that can be opened with a key to the city. It's just that it's really
It's cartoon logic.
it
But
it's kind of
no,
yeah, it's kind of it's really silly in an oddly realistic way because you can definitely picture the sort of people who would be like, because I mean Kingsmouth is an occult town and all that, but city governments are city governments everywhere you go, and it kind of feels like the sort of thing you'd find in a city government, or not a city government, but like a small town government.
but we saw a
Oh
book earlier that told us to do some stuff, and that is the clue to one of the puzzles. Because one of the things they incorporate in puzzles in this game are player emotes.
yes, it took me embarrassingly long to figure out that that was actually a thing. So, and you saw a slash die
Yeah, slash reset
or
is
slash reset.
actually is.
Was it slash reset in the original? It might have been.
I don't know if slash die still works, but slash reset is what I was told to do. Now, let's start on some puzzles. Jerome's work on the two score and first psalm, the eighth part, the first darkness. Okay, so we need abyss. Not a bit, actually not abyssus, abyssus, which is Latin for abyss. And I do it wrong, so they release poison gas into the room and I die.
Which in this game is just a middle finger.
Yeah. Like, if I weren't chosen of Gaia, of the bees, if I did not have bees inside of me, I would be gone forever. But I like the computer beep.
Yeah,
I actually
that's
had this one written. I actually had this one written down, and you actually need to be able to read music to do this. So it says Dolandi, who is a composer, and there is some sheet music here, and we have to do the scratched off part. And I had this written down because there's literally no other way to fucking do this. And I actually have it still in front of me. It's A2, E1, E3, G3, G3. By the way, who came in here later and put electric lights?
yeah, that's and the computer ding. That's
I
huh.
think the computer
I mean,
ding is
and
just a game thing, but
possibly,
yeah,
but
like
like,
who?
and I don't know if I'll ever get a good shot of those books as you walk past them, but I'm willing to bet that those are. How do I put this? Those aren't actually period appropriate books, and there's no way that they haven't survived without extensive maintenance. This place is practically dust free. Yeah, somebody's coming down here.
So exalt your fellows' labors. Pray to God. Disdain the symbols of old empires.
I always hate this particular kind of thing because I look at it and I can think of a half a dozen different options,
Yeah, I
and every
cover
option
eyes
that I
was
get
not
is
the
wrong.
right one. Cover eyes was not the right one. So I died again. Thankfully, all the puzzles you've solved stay solved even after your death. And what I would not give to read at this fucking library, I mean, look at all these goddamn books. Unfortunately, most of them would be in Latin, and I can't fucking read Latin.
And honestly, most of them would be in code. Probably both Latin and encoded. This
Oh,
is
Jesus.
This is the 1700s era Illuminati theory.
We have to spit on symbols of old empire and avert our eyes from evil. And this is the tomb of Solomon Priest, who is a big dude in early Illuminati America. And apparently his second in command fucking murdered him for some reason.
So in other words, the Illuminati haven't changed all that much.
Right.
Yeah, Solomon Priest is around. He's not. His legacy does not vanish from the game once we leave this area. I think. Actually, that might be somebody else who has a vaguely similar name, like Jonathan Wick.
John Wick is not in this game, but I would pay to see a John Wick movie where he fights the occult.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. But, God, there's the one with the demons, the guy who went to hell. Was that
John
Solomon Priest or
Constantine?
somebody else?
I think you're thinking of the other Keanu Reeves movie, John Constantine.
No, I'm talking in this game. In this game.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, we hear more about him in the next area.
Yeah, I know.
He's like
I'm pretty sure he's actually
Hell's
a different
Messiah.
guy. It's like John Wicker or something.
I think Wicker is it, yeah, but he's Hell's Messiah. And it's weird.
The man who...
But you learn more about him in the dungeons, and I haven't done all the dungeons still because I haven't been able to get a team together.
Yeah.
Because, surprise alert, no one plays this game still.
Yeah.
Or at least the Goon Guild is all, dead.
Do they still have a thread?
We still have a thread, and it occasionally someone posts, but most of the activity is me posting a question or a complaint, and everybody going, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'd love like a sequel to this MMO, or just more fucking content, but...
You also have to... Cause if I remember right, Secret World, TSW, Classic, and Legends both had their plots on different, like... Classic had its plot way further ahead. And then, where Legends is. And since Legends is kind of flailing, it's not gonna... They're never gonna reach it. So who knows what... If they made a sequel, what they would take. Brown Town or Brown.
I was playing my other character, and I was just doing some stupid achievements, and I got the achievement for killing a total of 2,000 zombies throughout your playthrough, and it gave me the title Romero.
There you go.
See, we got an achievement right there for killing 50 Draug.
I do like how apparently that fog is so thick you can't walk into it.
Some of these bosses you need a party for in the game are just in... I don't understand how a party's supposed to do anything, because you die in like 2 hits.
Yeah. Is it just me, or was that really...
I suppose you just had...
Is that thing really
No, go
underwhelming for
ahead.
its size?
Pretty much. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you're that big and covered in lobster armor, a shotgun should do fuck all to you.
Yeah. Well, who knows about magic shotguns, I guess.
Yeah, your weapons are pretty orky. I mean, they work because you think they work.
Quick access inventory updated.
This guy.
Look on your face says even my good side is worse for wear. I've been trying not to think about the changing. Like it could all be a bad dream I ain't woken up from. Nightmares. All nightmares. Since that storm blew us off course.
You ever seen Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth, the game?
Bits of it, I think.
About the shit we saw.
He looks like the fishman you see,
Been red weed as far as you could see.
just in the face.
About the things moving
It's got the Kingsmouth look.
in the water. About what we saw beneath it all. Deep into
Yeah. Iron Shetland did a great LP of it.
I found there.
It was really funny.
In the dungeon darkness, it shone like a signal flare. Like something fallen down from heaven above, you understand? A blade made of pure light. A thing of terrible beauty. I could hear its siren song, just calling me.
Foreshadowing.
Last I remember was the Creed boys hollering as I took a hold of it. It took a hold of me. I wasn't strong enough. I know that now. They told me it pushed back the fog and the waves while I was out cold. Told me it saved us. Save us. That thing brought the fog back to Kingsmouth. I brought the fog back to Kingsmouth. And I still hear that stone song. I know you hear it too. Could find it. You could stop it. Go it awful noise. Put that burning brightness back where it belongs. In the deep and in the dark. I wonder what would have happened if I never left that Red Sea. Maybe Joe Slater never did. And all this is just some pitch dark dreaming.
Well, let's let this guy turn into Gollum in peace. This song. I really like that piece. That little like tune. It's it is one of the few things I've heard which I can fairly call hauntingly beautiful.
And it's going to take us somewhere we saw briefly. Oh no, wait! It doesn't take us to Morningline. It takes us to the next story set piece, where we'll meet our antagonist for this period of the game.
And by the way, if some of the lore you can pick up till this point has dropped his name. So you can have a little bit of foreshadowing as to this guy, but not just a vague idea. bodies.
Finally silenced the incessant noise and moved it to a safer place.
So where...
Away from here. I'm not in a sharing mood, Cassandra, and the moaning isn't helping.
That's not what you said last night.
Yeah, I kind of like Cassandra because she's like, I am explicitly using my body to get what I want.
This is so very far beyond you, little girl.
Fuck off. I've seen the beyond, and I'm a fast learner.
I do kind of like
I'm ready
Cassandra.
for more than this.
And she is a
Give me
lot
something.
smarter than she looks.
Let me
She is
in. Let me do
she's
my
using
job.
herself because she knows that it's a good way to get an advantage, and she has other weapons that she can and will use as well.
Won't take hold without carriers. You keep spreading those long legs of yours to recruit more foot soldiers.
Be still my beating heart.
There's also a bunch of fan theories around her and her actual identity.
Have what you've been looking for. Your precious
We'll get to that
sword.
when we get to that. But
You control the armies of the living dead. You pretty much own this island. So the question is, why the sour face? What is it that you're missing something? Right. Now this is interesting. Your treasure, your precious. You can't use it, can you? I mean, the spirit is willing, but the flesh... Oh my, the flesh is limp.
Watch it, little girl. You have no idea
What? What?
You want to know what this is really about, Cassie, dear, when it all comes down to it? Change. Evolution. A new dawn. The world tree will shake. The sun will turn black, and the gods themselves will fall. We are rebooting the world.
That's the thing, isn't it? What everyone talks about. It's the big headline. The dawning of a new age, right? Tokyo. The endless night. I like it. There's poetry to it. And oh, does it suit you. The evil sorcerer thing.
He needs a better beard if he wants to be an evil sorcerer. He just looks like the leader of a cult right now.
yeah,
Which, I mean, technically he is, but...
he looks like the evil noble in a movie about a medieval king. Like, not the Grand Vizier, but like the evil. He looks like
Wait,
human Scar.
didn't you say that the lock...
Nah, to me the clothing screams hippie.
I mean, yeah, it does, but when we're talking about like the beard and the face.
Oh yeah, the beard, absolutely. But the
So,
whole ensemble just makes me think
how
of,
you repay me, you
like a bad 60s movie about hippies.
Yep.
take one last good look at what you're missing. Lover boy.
I wouldn't smack your butt, you don't have much of one.
The Illuminati and their bloody labyrinth.
I can't tell if that's actually a map.
It's supposed to be a map of the island, but
it looks like
it's...
corroded metal.
And let me just steal your shit.
Kingsmouth, yeah. Kingsmouth Municipal Airport. Is that our next destination for the main plot, or is that just like a throwaway?
For the main plot, that's our next destination. But before then, we have a bunch of side quests to complete because we need to get to level 14. I mean, we're almost at level 14, but I'm going to do everything in Kingsmouth Town and on this side of the island before we go over the bridge.
Because, like in a lot of games, these areas have mini areas. Kingsmouth Town is a mini area. Complaint 4.
So, yeah. fella was saying the fucking cult's been messing with me. He literally just calls them hippies.
Mhm.
Get a job, you hippie.
'Cause
But we got to find whatever happened to him. And it's very simple what happened to him. The zombies got him. But we just need to find his body. And that was this episode.
on that note,
So, hope you enjoyed.
and thank you
We'll talk
everybody.
to you later.
Thank you everybody for checking in. See you later.
Later.